Hello everyone, The Worm here, back with some more Raging Lube, and we are in the middle of settling in. We've got our own place now, and we have been going around trying to find a place for our journalist friends after sabotaging their ride, which is, in any normal circumstance would be somewhat outrageous, but considering the circumstances, I think we all understand why it had to be done. It was for their own good, really. But now we have to follow through and find them a place to sleep. And in pursuit of that, we've gone to see Kyo, and we just finished talking with him about it. We did learn a few things. Can I? No, just starting out, we don't get a log. We learned a couple architectural tidbits last time. The house that Haruaki is staying in was formerly inhabited by a Gen-san, who, according to Tai, was a very good person, but has unfortunately passed away. But fortunately, it was peaceful, so we hear. But we don't know much about this Gen-san. I don't think we've heard about him before. If we have, you could let me know, but I think that's the first time we've heard of him. And then we also heard another name. It was Yoshi something, but it was in relation to the dorm. The one I'm thinking this is the dorm that Chemi and the kids stay at. It was Yoshi something, I can't recall. But apparently this Yoshi something person was the one to lobby for its creation, or something of the sort. So I'm not sure if either Gen-san or this other person will play a role in things to come, but they were mentioned, so I think that's important to say. And then at the very end, there was this confusing bit. Let's see here. Let's see. Where was it? Yeah, so we heard that there was a time when there were mists in the past, and it was in fact those mists that caused the deaths at the work site that Takumi had to dig graves for and pull them out of because it was abandoned. And that was all because the Nosato were working them too hard and decided to keep them working even under harsh conditions, something like that. Pretty scandalous stuff. But Haruaki then went on a little... He went on a tangent where he seemed to suggest that the feast had happened in the past due to there being the mist then. And it was confusing to me because, especially in Takumi's case, he basically thought anyone who survived that was essentially a killer, right? Because if they were the just normal villagers, that means they hanged the wolves. And if it's it would have to be that. It couldn't be the wolves one because everyone would have died, and we know that's not the case. So basically saying whoever the survivors of that had to be okay with killing, or something like that, is what he said. And the whole thing kind of confused me, because didn't it go back to the very first feast that we had in the Yomi route that we did? I mean, it was specifically Takumi who was asking about how the feast works, right? And even Tai said that the whole feast thing they were doing was something they only heard about from tradition. So that made it seem to me that really no one here has participated in a feast before. But of course, Haruaki didn't see that. So maybe he's thinking that they're just not telling him about it? I don't know. It's just a bit confusing for me. And I saw I wasn't the only one. I saw there was a comment that was talking about that. So I don't know. Maybe he'll elaborate more. Maybe not, because he's saying he's going to move on for now. So I guess that's what we'll do. It might be inconsequential, but I don't understand exactly how it makes sense. Anyway, most of the rest of the episode was just kind of lighthearted stuff, which I'm grateful for. So, you gotta enjoy the good times while they last. So, hopefully well, who knows? Just gotta play. So let's get back into it. I had many things to think about for later, but for now, I had a goal to complete.
にもかかわらず本家の連中は
そうだ、野里さん。
ん？
あの工事現場は野里さんの辞書なのですか？
Oh, interesting.
そうだが、どうかしたかね。
あのプレハブ使えたりしないですかね？
使う？な、
困ってる外の方を車で止めるよりはまだいいんじゃないかと。
After thinking for a moment, Kinosuke-shi returned inside. I had expected him to say something like, "Why would I, a village head, sully my hands with Yasumizu's problems?" or something, so this came as a surprise. Kinosuke-shi came back shortly.
おそらくこれだろう。事故の後、先代がこちらで預かっていたのを鍵箱の中で見たような気がした通りだ。
ありがとうございます。
待ちたまえ。貸すとは言ってない。そもそもなぜ長者である私が安水の事情に手を焼かねばならんのかね。
I think Haruaki has this guy nailed down pretty well. And there it was.
それはそうですね。申し訳ありません。
But on the main point, good to know he's even if his attitude is still what it is, at least the actions he's taking seem to be good here.
冗談だよ。貸さんとも言っていない。
Okay, Kyo. Wow, what a pain in the ass.
君は室や芹沢と違って長者に対する礼儀というものをわきまえているようだ。そんな相手ならば安水のものだからといって無下には扱わんよ。藤吉の住民の安寧に尽くすのが長者というものだ。
ありがとうございます。
Oh, so he believed in the concept of noblesse oblige. Shame he didn't have the ability for it. First, I had to check if the place was even usable. The equipment and materials were all gone. The only thing of note here was the sink on the wall. The flooring was cold and a bit sandy. But with a bit of cleaning and a futon, it could be a decent living space. There was no running water, but if we placed a water bucket here, whoever was living here could easily wash themselves. Ooh. Okay, so something tells me there might be something wrong here, but we're not going to be able to see it just yet. Well, alrighty. I now had one empty living space. Getting the other, the dorm room, was even harder. I didn't even think I could force it at this stage. However, it was still a better option than just wandering around looking at the alternatives that may not even exist. This would be a real waste of time if it didn't end up saving them. I wasn't about to stop trying, though. It was still just a bit afternoon. Honestly, I was a bit hungry. but there was a strange, powerful reek coming from the dining hall. I had no idea what could have caused this. Was it the toilet? No, it was more along the lines of rot. Animal rot at that. Did someone already die? I'm gonna guess no. Maybe it's... Konzo has been hunting, right? Maybe he brought back a carcass or something? My memories made me forget the situation was still peaceful, and I dashed. Suddenly, a dense wall rose up before me.
Nanja.
Ooh, I was pushed away.
Oh.
Ooh. You know, these coverings, the triangle coverings, I believe we've seen them in 2 places so far. I believe Tai was wearing one when we first saw her, like first ever, when Haruaki decided to explore the village by himself, and we saw Tai coming out for, what would it be, morning prayer or something? And then we saw another of this, interestingly enough, with the strange creature that seemed to be hounding Chiemi near the end of the Yomi route. And the one in that one had the wolf symbol on it, but it was also a triangle-like piece of fabric. So I wonder what this is all about. I spaced out for a moment, but then I realized I'd bumped into the local hunter, Kanzo Makashimashi. This was the first time I'd seen him hold his gun in his hands. But I was even more troubled by his face. Yes. I was pretty sure I'd seen Old Lady Tai wear something similar the first time. That happened later made me forget about it. But man, was it weird. Sorry, that was just a bit odd.
すみません。変な匂いがして大丈夫かなって思って。
獅子なれよ。
え？
獅子なれをにとる。記者に食わす言うて。
Oh yeah, Hisako-san was here to eat something strange.
気ぃつけろ、兄ちゃん。
はい。よろしければお名前を。
牧島。
And he left. The bundle he had in his left hand told me he'd only been here to get his lunch. He was as tough as I remembered. That chest made it hard to believe how old he was. What a hunk of a man. That thought made me seem like some love-struck teen girl. Anyway, that cleared things up. The smell was caused by cooking. I gathered my resolve and went inside.
あら、どこに行ってらしたの？早速手伝いがあったのに。
Kaori-san glared at me a bit. Crap. I'd have to make up for the points I'd lost.
ああ、すみません。ちょっと野里さんに用があって。
用？樋口から何かことづけです？
いえ。間宮さん、橋本さん、ちょっと。
Besides the ones in charge here and that sleepyhead, you also had the journalists who were busy taking photos and jotting down notes. I was impressed by their professionalism, being able to get back to work right after the problem was solved, although it actually wasn't.
お仕事中すみません。実は野里さんが夜を越すなら車は良くないとプレハブの鍵をくれまして。
あら。ボンク。野里さんがそんなことを？
Well, he didn't say that, but he agreed with the idea. Yeah. Well, it was nice to find out how she usually called him.
どうもあと一部屋くらいはあるみたいだし、 そちらもなんとか開けていただいて、屋根の下で休まれるがよろしいかと。
ご好意はありがたくいただくけど、無理言ってまで部屋をもらおうとかは思わないわよ。
Of course she didn't. That was the normal thing to think.
香織さん、やっぱ寮の部屋開けた方がいいですって。野里さんに負けたら安水の恥ですよ。
それは何とも言えないけど、ただそうね、別に変な人はいないけど、若い女性が車でっていうのも。
香織さん、お弁当もらえるかしら。
And the most important person joined the scene.
なんね。
野里さんが鍵をくれたんです。プレハブですけども、これで一人は屋根の下で休めそうです。
あら、それは。
I wasn't explicit about it, but she instantly understood what I was getting at.
だけどね、あそこは。
私は大丈夫ですよ。お隣ができても。
ちなみに、寮、そこってどういう建物なんです？
あそこはね、いずれ安水を去る子供たちのための場所なんですよ。安水に住むということは、一生安水のものになるってこと。だけど、子供たちはそうとは限らないから。だから、あそこだけ、安水では特別な場所なの。上富士吉の人も、そのことは暗黙のうちに認めているわ。
Oh. So this was just another way Kama Fujiyoshi exerted power over Yasumizu. I could understand why they didn't want to mess with it. But I knew from experience that it wasn't an insurmountable obstacle. They'd open it up for an emergency, but tomorrow would be too late. And I didn't really have a good way to convince them that this was indeed an emergency.
大丈夫ですよ。これでも車で寝るの慣れてますし。
Dang it, Mamiya. This is not the time to be humble.
プレハブは橋本さんが使ってください。一人ならあの車で十分ですし、ここまで運転任せきりですし。
逆の方が良くないかしら。
いやでも、プレハブって上のでしょ？女の人が寝るのはちょっとな。
As we pondered,
すみません。
Hashimoto-san actually spoke up and walked to Taisan.
なんでしょうかね。
もしまともな部屋をお持ちであれば、彼女のために開けてやっていただけないでしょうか。
The giant speaks. How shall Tai react?
こんな仕事をやってますが、まだ嫁入り前の身です。同行者としてあまり無理はさせたくありません。できる限りのお礼はいたします。どうか一つ。
He bowed. His large body bent in two, but Tai-san still had to look up at him.
そうね。だけど。
Whoa! Tai-san was on the verge of giving in.
おい、不妻子、今頃戻ってきやがったが、てめえ飯時にほっつき歩いて小木さんを手伝わねえとはいい度胸だ、おら
First, you're upset that, we were getting close, spatially. Now you're upset when he wasn't here.
おお、匠兄ちゃん、いいところへ。
なんだ
Perfect timing indeed. He was the best person to convince Tai-san. And in the end, she agreed. The word unmarried meant a lot to her, apparently. She seemed to become more considerate of Mamiya-san after that. One of the reasons for this victory was the pressure emitted by Hashimoto-san's massive presence and the other was the fact that he presented a reason that resonated with her. And then Takumi-san joined the scene and gave her the final push. This wasn't exclusive to Yasumizu, but finding a compromise in a community without common interests was really difficult. It was especially hard when you couldn't give proper reasons for your words. They'd started to suspect I was a slacker, but I said I was called by Nosato-san, and though it surprised them, they believed me. As a result, I had to make up a story about how he said he was shy. But actually, he was considerate of everyone, which is why he'd called me. After all, I couldn't let them think I decided this myself. After we got the key from Taisan, the two journalists and I left the dining hall to prepare our living spaces. The dorm room was clean to begin with. There was gas, water, and a futon, exactly like I remembered it. The house I'd been staying at was clean too. All I had to do was get a futon from the dining hall and fill the pail with water. The prefab, though, took a while to clean. Takumi-san brought the cleaner pieces of tatami from the abandoned shacks here, which made it a relatively livable space.
まあせっかく一晩越すんだし、ここの日常生活も体験しときましょう。記事にできないのが残念だわ。
They seem to be satisfied with that reason.
今後はもうちょっと安全な場所で仕事ができるといいね。
Well, that's gonna be pretty much everywhere but here. Yeah.
すみません。私の依頼こんなんばっかで。
こっちはいいんだ。保険もあるし、安全性だって運送地帯よりはマシ。
It's quite a thing to say. He'd been in such places. He did more legwork than his looks would have you believe.
でも、ヒューちゃんは女性でしょ？
だからそれはいいっこなしですって。働いている間は性別なんて関係ないでしょ？
危険地帯でのダメージリスクは女性の方が高いんだよ。
しょうがないじゃないですか。他の仕事も男も寄ってこないんですから。
難しいね。
Their relationship was just that of good business partners. Mamiya-san was a passionate journalist, while Hashimoto-san was a senior who was worried about her and helped her out. There was a decent balance here.
意外ですね。間宮さんお綺麗なのに絶対モテそうですけど。
褒めても何も出ないわよ。
いえいえ、僕がこんな底辺野郎じゃなきゃ迷いなくアタックしてますよ。
光栄だわ。久石くんいくつ
？24です。
私今年でみそじ突入だからね。さすがに申し訳ないわ。
Oh, come on. Unmarried 30-year-olds weren't rare in this day and age. Though, I preferred women who were a bit more bothersome.
このたらいは何だい？
あ、体を拭く水を溜めてあります。
1日くらいいいよ。
なんかそういう風習らしいですよ。
ちょっと詳しく聞かせてくれる？
Alright, this was a good chance to share info with them. Presenting it as info I heard from Uematsu-san and Kinosuke-shi, I told them about what had to be done when the mists came. I couldn't sound too knowledgeable, though, since I was a newbie here, but I was able to imply that there was a supernatural danger involved. Mami-san was extremely intrigued and quickly asked for extra info, like the stuff about the four-head families. I did my best to mention only what I'd found out this time around, but I couldn't help worrying that I would say too much.
興味深いわね。思いっきり神道的な発想だけど、どういう由来で伝わったのかしら。変化した鳥居、お守りをいただく名家、霧の時に限定されたみそぎの風習。マロードの艦隊はしないみたいだけど。不思議だわ。 こんな偏僻な農村になぜこんな得意な風習が残ったのかしら。昔はもっと特殊な集落だったとか。
やっぱりそっちのが向いてそうだね。キューちゃんの本職。
あった、これは失礼。じゃあ住処も霧が立った時の対処も聞いたし、お仕事に戻りましょうか。
キューちゃんが寮の部屋でいいよね。それで僕がここ。
あ、よかったら下の小屋は橋本さん使われませんか？こっちは手狭ですし。
大丈夫大丈夫。どこでも寝られるから。それに君はこれから住むんだろう。早いところ家に馴染んだ方がいい。
Hmm, he had a point. Also, I'd borrowed the place from Uematsu-san. I didn't have the right to let just anyone use it. Typo. Typo right there. Oh, interesting, interesting. This is now our second choice without having the keys. Okay. Fascinating.
わかりました。余計なことをすみません。
いや、こちらこそありがとう。いろいろ動いてくれたんでしょ？
More than you could ever know, sir.
え？
野里さんだっけ？気を回しそうな方には見えなかったから、きっと君が取りなしてくれたんだろう。
いやいや、そんなことないですよ。
この子は結構無理しがちだからね。僕が至らない分助かるよ。
もうたかが一回り上なくらいで父親みたいになんないでくださいよ。
Only a dozen. There was something odd. Excuse me, there was something about him that bothered me. Oh, not gonna elaborate though. Okay, anyway, with that done, I figured I'd spend my remaining time trying to rub elbows with the rest of Yasumizu. Though I already had a job here, I had to make up for not helping out at the dining hall before noon. But...
とりあえずお仕事の前に腹ごしらえをしてもらいましょう。
Kaori-san gave me a bowl. For some reason, her smile seemed a bit warped. Probably wasn't on purpose, though. It was just the effect of the smell. No, the miasma coming from the food she gave me. It was just that powerful.
何か怒ってます？
え？いいえ。どうして？
I couldn't feel any anger in her voice or expression, but being new here, I couldn't understand the mentality of someone trying to present something like this as food. As I twitched in fear that this was a punishment for slacking off, Kaori-san suddenly gave me a full smile.
あ、この匂いね。獅子慣れというの。獅子を保存するための昔からの知恵。
This game, it's trying to make me revive the food conspiracy theory that you know, they even talked about it themselves, that we had very early on, you know, where Chiemi was trying to keep us from eating the food. Don't mess with me, game. Don't do this to me.
なるほど。
So, this was the infamous dish made out of fermented game meat. The nare part of the name nare. Nare. The nare. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Taisan's guardians are 1 snake, 2 monkey, 3 crow, 4 spider, 5 prepare the feast when the evening mist arrive, 6 the badger runs along late with Nare as a fix. 7 the corrupt Yomibito rise to oppose the mountain. 8 the death of the damned Yomibito is the mandate. 9 1 soul per day now up to bind. 10 the mist rise away again. Do you think that's it? Remember we talked about this way back when? We couldn't figure out what Nare meant. And let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to attempt to pronounce this name, but it is most likely wrong. So please forgive me. But yeah, okay. Let's just try it. Tuli Kennel. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to pronounce your username, but that's what I see. Tuli Kennel graciously let me know that the Nare part of that nursery rhyme or prayer was a Japanese word. It wasn't some strange English word I wasn't aware of. And so it's interesting to me that now we're getting this here. I'd also like to thank Tuli Kennel for letting me know at various points some different Japanese words, because obviously I don't know it, so getting that sort of background is always appreciated. Yeah. I'm so I don't know. I got a bit of a rush when I just saw that here. The Nare. Oh, okay. Let's continue. The Nare part of the name had to refer to long fermentation, just like in nare zushi for fermented sushi. I had no clue how they gave it such a strong smell, though. Did they reuse the same marinade for decades? Like with the salt they used for sun-dried mackerel?
大昔はそのまま食べてたみたいだけど、さすがに危なかったのかしら。今はこうして煮込んだり、鍋や汁の身にしているの。
There's totally something ominous with this nare, right?
本来、安水のお祝い料理なんですよ。記者さんたちにお出しした分のお裾分け、それと私から歓迎の印。
I mean, I think we're gonna have to eat eventually, right? Especially now that we're technically part of the village. I think we're just gonna have to, partake. Okay, I had to steel myself. I actually had a soft spot for strange delicacies. I'd tried sun-dried mackerel and any other weird foods I could get my hands on. No way I could refuse this.
だって私、小さい頃からずっと安水のものを食べてきた。
Yeah. Would eating this turn me into a zombie or something? You know, at this rate, man, I wouldn't be too surprised. It's just, there's something off about all this. No, I would prove that idea wrong.
いただきます。
Here we go. I picked up the bowl and the chopsticks. Brown rice, covered with a ton of crumbled bits of meat. The soup stock seemed as light as what they used in Kamafujioshi, but I didn't know what to think about the meat's color. What was up with this greasy, shiny green surface? Okay, the way they're doing this, I'm thinking maybe not. The reek attacked my nose once again. Damn it, I couldn't back out now. Gathering my resolve, I quickly put some stock, rice, and meat into my mouth. Did it taste good? What? Was it good? I really couldn't tell. I had absolutely no idea what I was eating here. The texture, the sensation on the tongue, everything was new to me. The taste was extremely acidic, salty, and rich in animal protein. But that weird smell smothered most of it, forcing me to continuously convince myself that I was eating something good. I felt like my body would reject it all if it didn't. Holding the aversion at bay, somehow I swallowed it. The aftertaste was better than I expected, but as the reek faded, it made way for a strong, beastly smell. Yeah, in a way, this taste was an exciting form of entertainment by itself.
あら、いい食べっぷり。
Look at his face.
慣れればいけそうですね。
Could you now?
ええ、わかるわ。私も安水に来て、最初はどうかと思ったけど、今は時々無性に食べたくなるの。
I wasn't lying. It really did seem like a taste I could get used to. It was hard to honestly call it good, but at least it did feel nutritious. As reciting a prayer, I repeatedly tried to convince myself that as I emptied the bowl I was given... Oh, pardon me. As reciting a prayer, I repeatedly tried to convince myself of that as I emptied the bowl I was given. Oof.
ごちそうさまでした。
お粗末様でした。
Okay. So I'd finally eaten something from Yasumizu. Does that mean I was a true local now? Or a Yomibito? Whatever. As long as I could go back to square one, I would explore all the options I had available. Rhythmic cutting sounds were reaching my ears. As Kaori-san began preparing the food in the kitchen, I did the work assigned to me. I had to repair the numerous cracked and broken dishes they had here. Apparently they couldn't afford anything new, so they opted to take what was thrown out in Kamafujiyoshi and repair it into something usable. Was there no end to how pitiful things were here? Broken plates and cups were all wrapped in old newspaper, and all I had to do was unwrap them and put them back together. It was actually kind of fun, sort of like a jigsaw puzzle, but man, there were a lot of them. I'd have to do this for entire boxes full of broken tableware. I did wonder whether they actually needed so much, but apparently they were just barely enough, so they wanted to have some spares. I used the all-purpose glue from a 100 yen shop that they'd bought it from a different town. Kaori-san laughed at it, saying, "We'd get far more value out of this than a 100 yen bowl." And I just about cried. It was a strange mix of modern frugality and the poverty of ancient times, and it exemplified just how weird Yasumizu really was. As I worked, I realized that many of the plates and cups had a familiar symbol on them.
これはどういうマークなんです？
Higuchi, right? I asked Kaori-san over the counter.
ああ、それは水場のお家の紋よ。
Oops. The Higuchi. I was about to mention the name, but then I realized that Kaori-san probably didn't have good memories of them. I'd heard that examining these crests helped understand the lineages and the like, but I had no knowledge necessary for this.
他の長者にも家紋があるのですか？
ええ、私は野里のが好きよ。可愛くて。
Cute. From what I recalled, the Nosato family was the crow. Did it have a bird on it or something? Uematsu was the spider, Nosato was the crow, Higuchi was the monkey, and Miguruma was the snake. They worshipped a mountain and these guardians. It was significant not only for Fujiyoshi's culture, but the Feast of the Yomi Purge as well. If memory served, Jimmy had told me the last time that whether you had a guardian or not was relayed by a mark of blood on your skin. Certainly a mark, but I don't remember blood. Interesting. Waking up to find blood on your body was something straight out of a horror movie. Didn't the wolves and Haruchan say it was done through dreams? If that was true, I'd be at a loss. It'd be an actual supernatural phenomenon. Still, were wolves and humans informed differently? This was something I'd have to look into starting tomorrow.
他の家紋ってどこかにあります？
野里屋敷なら野里のはあると思うけど、他のは植松さんの胸につけてるお飾りは家紋をかたどってるわ。
That thing, huh? I had thought that it looked kind of weird.
今度探してみます。知らずに粗末に扱うと大変なことになりそうだ。
それはそうかもしれないわね。何か見つけたら教えましょうね。
ええ、どうも。
I continued working as we talked. There was a small ancient TV here. Apparently you can get public broadcasting here, but not much else. That was probably enough for everyone to gather here and have dinner while watching something. I was told that all the dorm rooms had TVs too. There had to be another way they pampered the children who'd eventually leave this place. It strongly demonstrated how much of an exception the dorm was for Yasumizu.
うちの長男が今寮にいて、昨日のドラマがどうだったとか教えてくれるんですよ。ここじゃ夜しかつけないから。
Normally, giving TVs to the younger generation would be a sign of luxury, but it was the other way around here. The children went to school in Kamafujiyoshi, but they never went anywhere beyond that, and just went straight home. And Kamafujiyoshi was secluded to begin with. That was why they prioritized giving TVs to the children, to let them know what was happening outside the village, and to help them learn modern Japanese culture. Apparently they also covered their electricity and gas bills. They had to be frugal, but they didn't mind supporting the children's access to TV. Chemi was the first Yasumizu child to make it to college, and Yasunaga-kun was expected to follow in her footsteps. Basically, they thought if they supported the young ones and helped them become prominent figures in society, the money they'd send back would make life easier for those who stayed here.
長男、安永にはこんな場所に縛られず自由に活躍してほしいって私としては思ってるんだけどね。ご覧の通り、次男は不出来なので目の届くところに置かなきゃと。でも長男は手前味噌だけど優秀で、死んだ夫も頭は良かったわ。でも気性も激しい人だった。頭と気性を息子はそれぞれ分けて継いでしまった。申し訳ないと思ってるのだけどね。どっちも賢く産んでやれなかったって。次男は難産で、私もあの子も死にかけたくらいだったから、その時にかけすぎた苦労があの子をああしたのかしら。
Kaoru-san was pretty talkative about this. I knew I was a stranger and she had to introduce Yasumizu to me, but this was a bit too much, if you ask me. That was probably a sign of just how helpless she felt right now. Maybe Takumi-san should just propose to her and lighten the Oribe's burden. Marrying a widow with sons in middle to high school was difficult, and I could only assume that was his main issue. Feeling a bit conflicted, I glanced up at the cheap alarm clock on the TV. It was 3 p.m. Any minute now.
ただいま。あれ？
Hey guys, it's nice to see you again. Yes, even you, Yasunaga.
見知らぬやつ。
There, the high schoolers were back.
おかえりあなたたち。こちら急遽休みずに移り住むことになった夫妻子さんよ。
よろしくね。
珍しいですね。織部安永です。
ここの息子さんだよね。話は金がね。
母さん何言ったのさ。
不肖の息子をよろしくって。
まったく。あ、こっちが鴨志田近持で、こっちが牧島春です。
モッチーだ。ギブミー命。
Nope.
ねえモッチー、何あれ、イケメンってやつ？怖い。
That's not the best impression, but hey, we're not gonna be tied to the hip with Chiemi this time. So maybe, you know, they won't be as, at least certainly in Haru's case, maybe she won't be as hostile to us.
多分休んの方がつらっと少年はいいよ。
兄ちゃんなら勝てる？
勝てる勝てる。
貴様に勝負を申し込む。
え？
Let's do it. Let's end it. We're ending this before it begins, Yasunaga.
待てい。僕が相手だ。
よし、おしっこ我慢対決スタート。
Wow, that's quite the challenge.
貴様、僕が絶賛我慢中だと見通していたとでも言うのか。
実は僕もそろそろ限界だったんだ。
先に漏らした方が勝ちにしよ
う。乗った。いや乗らない。
早く行きなさいよ二人とも。
あらら。
We both had to forfeit.
夫妻子さん、モッチーと気が合いますね。
シッコマンの絆だな。
そうだな。いや違う。
改めて、こっちはハルちゃんです。
よろしくお願いします。
よろしく。なかなか独創的なファッションだね。
悪いですか？去年の暮れに梶原の100円ショップで揃えたんだけど。
That was just sad. It was something I'd expect from an elementary schooler.
いや、いいと思うよ。これから仲良くやっていこ
う。兄ちゃん、ナンパされた。怖い。
違うと思うな。
Man. Yeah, I was about to say, Haru-chan was so distrustful of me even without the misunderstandings regarding Chiemi and I. Perhaps there really were just people you couldn't get along with. How sad.
あ、こんなに治ったんですね、食器。本来は僕らがやるようなことを。すみません。
いやいや、楽しかったし、それにまだたっぷり残ってるしね。
安永、そんなことはいいから、早く予習復習をやりなさいな。
ああ、そうだね。寮に戻るよ。
勝負はまただ、シッコマン。
それじゃあ、失礼します。
The high schoolers left.
これでだいたい安水の全員に会われたのかしら。
Let's see. No, we're missing old man who cried wolf.
そうですね。
There was one exception though.
って、すみません、生返事で。1、2、3、記者さん入れて14人とあったかな。
1人、2人。あら、夫妻子さんを入れないなら15人いるはずね。
Suddenly, as if rehearsed, the final person appeared. Hey, old man who cried wolf.
あ、ちょうどよかった。夫妻子さん、こちら安水のおじいさんよ。
The old man. Don't you mean the Miguruma family head? No, probably not, but it's all I got, man. No one knew his name, did they?
こんにちは。
Like always, it was hard to tell whether he was listening or not.
今度こっちに住むことになりました。どうかよろしくお願いします。
Hey, did you and Mochi just fight each other to the death last time? I'm really curious about that. There it was. His shtick.
どうしました？
He beckoned me closer. I carefully brought my ear to his mouth. Sway back.
狼が来るぞ。
と、びっくりしたな。
I evaded the potential damage to my eardrums. I had no idea what he was thinking, but he was grinning.
No. 腹減った。
ちょっと待ってくださいね。今おにぎりでもしますから。
This might have been the first time I saw him properly communicate with someone. Once given the onigiri, he quickly munched it all up, leaving a big mess, and just staggered out. According to Kaori-san, he's always been a part of the whole Yasumizu package. He seemed to have something wrong with his head and tended to cause trouble here. Always a part, eh? Would it be wrong to assume he'd experienced something that made him go insane? At the very least, his catchphrase about the wolves coming gave me that impression. He'd experienced the feast once, and the fear made the boy who cried wolf become the old man who cried wolf. Perhaps he'd even seen that thing. I'd love to hear what he had to say, but that seemed difficult.
これで全員かしら。
みたいですね。
I was glad to hear, I was glad to have heard so much from Kaori-san, but I would have liked to talk to the young ones a bit more. Chami too. Was it possible for me to forge a proper relationship with her starting tomorrow?
18時まで休憩にしましょう。房石さんのおかげですごく早く片付いちゃった。助かるわ。
Okay, let's see, where are we at? Okay, we're getting there on time. I think we'll call it here. So we got the journalist a place, we met up with everyone else, helped Kaori a bit. Yeah, pretty much more of what we did last time. I'm thinking next time we'll probably actually get to the night, and that's where things are going to get interesting. So we'll have to see how this all works. If it all goes well, then everyone should be alive starting tomorrow, which is actually going to be what's interesting. What's potentially interesting to me about that is, you know, would they consider having the feast even if, you know, the first route here, the first route in the game, the Yomi route, the two journalists dying with the appearance of the mists kind of confirmed that this was, you know, a real situation. So part of what I'm curious about was, say we all survive the night, would they still say, oh yeah, it's feast time, we gotta vote and kill one of us, even without the evidence that, you know, there's actual danger? You know? Am I making sense there? Of course, if it's the case that we've had people gone through a feast before in the past, then they would know how deadly serious it is, but that still confuses me. I still don't understand that. In any case, things are going pretty smoothly right now. So obviously, something's got to go wrong at some point. Just don't know when that will be. I've been The Warm. This has been Raging Loop, and I hope to see y'all next time.